Man, you guys are fast. Hey, Hamburger. Hello. There's Hannah. God, you guys are fast. I'm starting to pull up my notes. We'll give it a second for everybody to come in here. So, hey, Snape Fantasy. Moon Alchemist. Hey, Aaron. MSG, let's talk gear. MSG, this is for you specifically, man. I want to see that booth once you get it all set up, dude. Who else is going to be in here? Look at this great community. Look at those hearts filling out. I have no sound. Does everyone else? How funny would it be if the sound was off for this? Let's talk about sound. What's up with this quarantine here? Oof. Digital release. Oh, you guys. Who knows, man? I don't know anything. I am labor. I am not management. Yeah, okay, I have sound on. Thank you guys for telling me that. Okay, so if you didn't see the cool little article that the Hollywood Reporter did, Trilby, I can't remember her last name right now. The Hollywood Reporter did a little piece with Ashley Birch, with somebody help me out. Phil Lamar was in there, and Erica Lindbeck, and then myself. And we talked about kind of like with this whole new change, how are we still working at home? Unfortunately, we're in an industry where by and large we can do that. We can kind of do what we do at home. Doesn't mean that everybody was down for it. It just meant that we had the possibility of doing it. And as you probably saw from Ashley and myself, one thing that was kind of universal throughout all of our little stories is that we were doing a lot of tests. So different studios from Disney to Warner to all sorts of people were like, we need to make sure that what you have at home sounds good. Now, what I had before was good for auditions, and I could do stuff if I needed to. I made some music here. I've always been a little bit more audio-minded. But that doesn't necessarily mean it was up to standards for, hey, this needs to go to air. Like, this needs to be in the show. This needs to be in the game. So, hey, Jamie Costa. This was really an opportunity for me to take what I had and just kind of upgrade it. But here's what I want to make sure everybody understands. It is all about being prepared, right? If you were trying to scramble to get something now, it's not going to be impossible, but it's going to be a lot harder for you to do that now, because I have no idea how long this is going to last, or this could represent a permanent change and people are like, maybe we don't have to do this all the time. It's going to open up a lot of people who don't live in Los Angeles or New York or Vancouver to be able to start doing work at home, because we can go global now, right? So I'm going to walk you through, I'm not an expert, but I could just share with you my experience and the things that I have found to work. Now, and I will get to some of these questions right now. I'm just kind of like laying out the foundation of what this is. This will be a little bit more VO focused. There's some music that we can talk about as well, but honestly, if you really want to learn about recording in small spaces or recording at home specifically, Wayne Miller, his Instagram, Wayne G. Miller, I believe, or Selma Studios is an embarrassment of riches when it comes to a resource of that. So if you want to learn more about recording music, I can show you what I know and some of this stuff will apply. But Wayne, that's the masterclass, okay? So today's focus is going to be really, really simple. And if there's people that like this, maybe we'll do some more. But I wanted to talk about some of the things that I feel are requirements. So if you guys want to take notes, go for it. The number one thing that I want everyone who wants to try to record at home, start simple. Start simple. I cannot stress that enough. A lot of people try to go or think that they have to get all of this gear in order to have a studio that's ready to be able to record stuff, and you really, really don't. What you do need to do is start simple. You're going to build your first studio. You're not going to build your ultimate studio. I have gotten caught in that trap of thinking that it had to be this big production house when somebody honestly, and this is me across the board, I always think it needs to be bigger than it really is. I equate it to music. I hear strings and horns and choirs and drums and guitars and everything when someone just needs a guitar and vocal or a piano and vocal. So just strip it down, keep it really, really simple. What does that mean for you? It's going to be, there's not one silver bullet solution for everybody. You need to scale your financial investment to your time investment. How much of this how much of your day is going to be spent doing this? Is this your vocation or is this a hobby? You need to scale your financial investment to your time investment. So if you're going to be doing this, I don't know, like once a week or something, don't go out and spend $2,000 on a mic or even $500 on a mic. Start small. A good friend of mine said, if the job will pay for 60 to 70% of the gear, he will buy it. But he will not buy the gear until he has a job that will pay for at least 60 to 70% or more. So let's say a job is going to pay $250, right? And the mic that you want to get is $400. That is a sound investment. If you know that you're going to get that money, then maybe you go ahead and buy that mic. But don't buy the mic thinking that this mic will get you the $250 because you could be out $400, okay? Be incredibly prudent, be judicious with your spending, and don't waste money on cheap solutions. This is going to be an investment. If you're not ready to make the investment, then save up and wait. I told a funny joke once at the DICE Awards, I think, is like, if you want to get into VO, then save up your money, buy a good mic, and then wait for Nolan North and I to die. I genuinely meant the save up your money and get a good mic. Every mic that I have ever owned, I still own. And sometimes I still use, unless they've just gone kaput. But microphones are great sound investments. Sound, that's a bit of a pun. But this is all about making sure that you are not just throwing money away into a mic that can meet your need right now. That said, not every great mic is super expensive. I recorded a lot of stuff when I first got going on the MXL mic that is like Guitar Center's brand. Super easy. Some of these mics are like $49, $59, okay? They're gonna sound great. There's a lot of stuff. David Kay is a guy that does a lot of VO. He's on, if you watch John Oliver, he does all the, and now that guy, right? He does stuff in his car. Like, he's done stuff on his phone and they've gone to broadcast with it. So everybody has different standards, different procedures, different requirements that they have. But the best way to do this is to do a shootout to see what mic you sound best on. What I have found to be true is that buy the mic, it's kind of like dress for the job you want. Buy the mic that is used predominantly in what you want to do. If you want to do a lot of commercial VO or movie trailers, a shotgun mic is used by and large for those. Like a Sennheiser 416 is a standard mic that was used for trailers, for commercials, for a lot of stuff. So that's a good mic you can look into, or any kind of shotgun mic. They range in prices. The ultimate is the Neumann U87. That's a $2,000 to $3,000 mic, depending upon where you get it. So that could be too much for you to spend. But there's a lot of mics that are very, very similar that won't cost nearly that much, that will sound similar to it. You can look on sweetwater.com, guitarcenter.com, musiciansfriend.com. Those are 3 great resources to find mics. And they'll even give you great descriptions like, this is a great vocal mic. It's VO, vocal, that's a great chance for you to look into that mic. Sterling Audio makes really, really good clones of very expensive mics for a budget price. The other thing that this is going to go into, there's a lot of people that use a USB mic that plugs into their computer or even their iPad, their iPhone, and that's what they use. You can do that. There's a lot of people, I think even Phil Lamar uses like his Yeti mic, and that is the mic that he uses and has used for tons of stuff. Phil Lamar clearly has, and also get a chair that doesn't squeak for the love of God. You hear this? Clearly Phil Lamar's had a very successful career, so that mic has worked for him. It doesn't necessarily mean that it'll work for everybody. By and large, what you want is a microphone that has an XLR connection, okay? That's a mic cable, little 3-prong. Why don't I not have a mic that I can show you right now? I have one right here. We'll turn that off. Hit that button, and then, so here's a mic that I have right here. Now, it's a Neumann, it's a remake of the M49, which is like the microphone that Sinatra uses. It's a TLM 149. This mic, like the original, would be like a $10,000 mic. There's no way I can afford that mic. This mic is significantly less. This mic predominantly is used can be used for vocals. Obviously, Frank Sinatra used something like this. It could be used for a room mic. It's an all-around mic. The thing that I'm talking about, the XLR connection, is this right here. That's a mic cable connection, XLR, which means left, right, and ground. So this kind of thing is the kind of mic that you're going to want. It's going to be a condenser mic, which means it's the type of microphone filament. If you kind of look at the way that the light hits it, you can see there's like this circle right there. That's the actual mic part. This grill is not the actual mic. That is more of a protector and how sound hits it. Getting way too intense. Doesn't matter. The main point is a condenser mic is going to be your best bet. So, there's that. Don't just get a cheap mic. The other thing is how that mic is getting into your computer, okay? It's an interface. So an interface can be, I have a big rig. You can even get, where is that guy? I'll grab it real quick. This little jobber right here is great. This is a Focusrite 212. There's a single version of this that actually works with iOS as well. It plugs in right here. You see through USB. But you can plug in speakers if you want to, the left and right there. You also have you can plug in 2 microphones, like 2 microphone cables will go into right there. You can control the volume right here. And this is a great little solution. This is like $100, $200 maybe. So there's simple solutions like this. This is going to communicate from your voice to your microphone into your computer, okay? Think of it like this. This allows, because your voice is an analog signal, your computer is a digital machine. They speak 2 different languages. So what they need is a translator. They need someone who speaks that language that can convert that language into this language, right? So there's nothing that is better than knowing the language, right? How well you know the language determines how well you can understand that language. So you could use Google Translator and you will get a version of that language, but it's never going to be as good as actually knowing the language. So a USB mic would be like Google Translator. Something like this is like, I took a year of French, and then the more expensive and the bigger that you get is having a better grasp of that language. That means it's going to interpret that signal better, and it's going to result in a better sounding you. It's going to be more accurate. That's the main thing you want. Doesn't give it any color, doesn't make it sound any different. Everybody, when they listen back to their voice, goes, is that what my voice sounds like? This is going to give you the clearest, most accurate representation of your voice, which is important for casting directors, and it's important for people who are like, wow, that sounds exactly like the character. It doesn't sound different. Digging that? Is this a lot? Angie, right? It makes sense, right? Google Translator versus actually knowing the language. Okay. That next is develop a system that makes sense for you. All right, so there's a lot of different ways to do this. By and large, obviously we talked about the hardware of this, the microphone, the interface, and a computer. You're going to have something that's going to capture this information and be able to submit it to people in the standard form that they're used to. The standards are easier because that's no studio or production house is like trying to learn a new way of doing things. They want you to do it the way that they do it. So by and large, and we can look this up later, 48K 24-bit, that's a very standard, like that is the resolution of the file that you're recording. If you want to look that up later, it's worth understanding, but that's just a setting that your computer will make within the system that you're recording in. Now, there's people that use Audacity, there's people that use Twisted Wave, there's people that use Logic, there's people that use GarageBand. I will tell you this, there is nothing that is better and more standard than Pro Tools. And the best part is there is a level of Pro Tools for everybody. If you go to avid.com, A-V-I-D, avid.com, you'll see under there, agree and proceed, boom, 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 signing over my life. Pro Tools is the first product that they offer. And there is Pro Tools First, which is free. Pro Tools First is going to give you, I think, at least one channel. It's going to give you all the functionalities that you need to record your voice into a computer and send it off to somebody for a job. And it's free. There's varying levels of Pro Tools up from there that even subscription-based if you want to unlock more features and more capabilities within that. But learn Pro Tools. It's what's considered a non-linear recording or non-linear interface, which means it's working in multiple tracks as opposed to one single track, okay? But for your purposes, you're going to create a track. You're going to say, hey, here's my microphone. It's going to go, got it. You're going to see levels, and you're going to press Apple spacebar or the 3 or record on your computer, and it's going to track all your stuff. It's going to save that, and you're going to be able to export that file to whomever wants to hear your voice. That is the standard. You can even sometimes, studios will ask me, just send me your Pro Tools session, and I will send them my Pro Tools session. I don't have to do anything else, okay? So always go to the standard. And learn that because it is the standard, but the system that makes sense for you, like if you saw the picture that they put up for Hollywood Reporter, I've got the deck of the Enterprise over here, and I've got my little music station over here, and I've got my vocal booth in there. That's what makes sense for me. It's not going to make sense for everybody. What you need to do is have a system that makes sense for you, and again, is a simple system that you can maintain, but you can also grow. Don't build something that has no room for you to be able to grow, because if this becomes successful, you want it to be able to scale. Making sense? Cool. All right. Sound treatment. I'm going to blow your mind. Foam isn't the answer. Foam isn't the answer. Wrapping a closet or your room in all of this egg crate or blankets is not the answer. And also, Moon Alchemist, perfect thing. There's a difference between sound treatment and soundproofing. You're not going to soundproof your room unless you're spending thousands of dollars, and you're going to float your floor and double wall your walls and all of that. And even still, there's studios that I record at that even now, and they're studios, professional studios, they're like, we got to hold for, there's a truck outside idling. You're not going to compete with gardeners, cats, helicopters, all of that shit. In Los Angeles, we have plenty of all of those things. What you can do, though, is create a space that eliminates ambient noise and mainly reflections. So like if you listen to my room, not a lot of reflection even in here, and this isn't very sound treated. Your enemies in sound treatment are reflections and reflections that are caused by standing waves or modes. So sound moves. That's all it is. It is vibrations that we make from our vocal cords that go out of the air, and that disperses, which is why we're all in isolation right now, because that shit travels on the air and then it reverberates into our eardrums, right? So sound is seeking surfaces and it sounds different. That's why echolocation works. There's your Last of Us reference. So I have in certain parts of my room here, not my booth, but in my room, places that sound constantly has to be moving, and then once it gets to a place, it gets dispersed, till it finally kind of goes away. So like if you see all of these like little panels right here, those are actually sound panels. So those are canvases. You can get those super, super cheap, like on, I don't know, go to Etsy or whatever. I can't remember what I did, but there's like you can have pictures, you can upload pictures, whatever you want, and they'll print them on canvases. And then on those canvases, within them, I've stuck sound treatment. So if you actually felt those, all of those pictures right there, including that big painting, those are all actual sound panels. So they look good. You don't have to get egg crate on those, and those are actually way cheaper than buying Auralex foam or Acoustimass or anything else, because it's kind of, they charge you a lot for that. And that stuff right there, probably all those pictures without including the big painting right there, because that was a commissioned piece of art. But all of those 4 of those things right there, may have cost me like $50. Okay, so those are really, really cheap. And that's a great solution, and it's a lot more aesthetically pleasing than having egg crate everywhere. So there's other solutions that you can find that you can use for that. The main thing for sound treatment, and again, I'm going to use that very carefully, sound treatment, is placement, mic placement. So again, what you don't want is parallel surfaces. So if you have two parallel surfaces like this and sound goes here, it's like pong. It's going to go here to here to here to here, and it's going to sound bouncy or echoey is what a lot of people say. Okay, so in order to no, not $50 a piece. I think all total it was like $50. Those were like $15 to print. It was nothing. And then of course the pictures were taken by my wife, so those are priceless. But you can pick pictures of your, like Angie, pictures of your horse, dogs, like whatever, your face, whatever you want. You can print those up. So then, okay, mic placement, standing waves, right? So parallel surfaces are your enemies. You don't want parallel surfaces. So what we have to do is do whatever we can to get rid of parallel surfaces. So if you're in a studio, if you ever walk into a studio look, all the walls are just kind of slightly off from each other, or they're angles like this, but there's no right angles and there's no parallel surfaces. Because when you get right angles or parallel surfaces, sound likes to trap or fly back and forth like a crazy person, okay? So what we do with our sound treatment is we mix diffusion and absorption. Absorption would be like the egg crate that you see. It's like the little fingers, the spongy fingers. That's used for absorption. And then diffusion would be like the rails that you see. So I'll kind of show you in my booth real quick, just what you can see here. So I've got a very simple door solution that slides open, and then let's flip this around. Can I do that? Whip. All right, so what you see here, like this right here is used for diffusion. So if sound were to hit this, it's gonna travel down these channels, and then it's gonna hit here, and it's gonna have to go in a different direction, and then it's gonna go there, it's gonna go a different direction. So all of this is a mixture of diffusion and absorption. This right here is about 2 inches thick, and it's suede, and it's got good highly rated dense foam in there. It's wrapped in suede. This is used primarily for absorption. It's spongy, so it absorbs stuff. This little guy right here is the secret sauce. You don't necessarily have to get this specific one, but if you do, it's money. It's been designed well. This is the SE reflection filter, and it's the small one. So as you see here, it's got all of this little nice absorption, a little bit of mixture of absorption and diffusion because it's spongy here, this little round, but it's round. It's not a flat surface. It's round. It's got these channels here, so the sound can kind of move from there, and it's curved, and the mic sits right inside there, so that it is basically trapped within there. When you speak into the mic, then all of your sound gets trapped here and it won't even go back here. So this all stuff over here, if you see here, I've kind of curved the ceiling there. If you can see, there's a line right there. So that again, there's no right angles, no flat surfaces. And even here, there's absorption there. I've got nice panels that are up here that are keeping the sound moving away from the microphone. And then of course, the door here is treated as well with reflection or diffusion and absorption. And panels down here. So that's kind of my setup. Also, while we're in here, you can see if I'm in here, sometimes I will talk loud, sometimes I'll talk quiet. So I'm having to actually engineer for myself. So this is my little mic pre. This is what gives this guy its juice, all right? This by itself, it needs power and it needs something to amplify the signal just like a guitar does, okay? So this is like an electric guitar, and this is the amp that it's going through, cool? So it's the Ventec 1073. It's basically a Neve clone, which is a very expensive preamp. Again, you don't have to spend the $10,000 or whatever. This probably runs you somewhere around $850 now. So all in with this channel strip and everything that's in here, this is probably about, $1,000, maybe like that. So it is an investment, but it will sound really, really good. This has different levels, so I can control the volume of this and really get it nice and perfect right here. So a lot of times when I'm recording, I have it set here. If I know that it's going to be kind of more of a talking gig, more soft-spoken reading narration, I'm going to have it probably a little bit higher. And then as I start talking a little bit louder, I'll dial this down. As I get a little bit softer, I'll dial this down so that it keeps all the sound at a very, very even level. I've got my keyboard here and my mouse here so that I can control everything. My computer's off right now, but this screen actually mirrors what's on my iMac. Of course, my headphones, we can talk about these. The main thing that you want with headphones, closed back. You don't want to be able to hear whatever is being piped through your headphones into your microphone, because if you have a good enough microphone, you're going to hear it. So closed back headphones, earbuds can work as well because they actually are really isolated within your ears. But yeah, so this screen right here is important so that I can see, I can have people up on Zoom, I can have my Pro Tools session here, I can have the script up here as well, so I kind of work everything off of that script, and I'm engineering everything, running everything from that ship right there. So we'll kind of button this up right here. This is making sense? You guys digging this? Yeah, I prefer cans as well, and those honestly are one of my favorite ones, the Biodynamic DT770 Pros. They're just super, super comfortable. I've got a black pair here, but again, you don't have to spend, that much money. You just want to make sure. The ones that I'd actually recommend for VO are the Sennheiser HD280 Pros. Those are about $60 now. They're workhorses. They're super, super tight, so people won't hear. They don't have a lot of low end, so you're able to hear your voice a little bit more clearly. Yeah, it's a lot of information I'm throwing at you guys. Do you have any questions? Maybe I can get to those too as well. The Wonka Chocolate Factory, a little bit. No Oompa Loompas, but Veruca Salt has fallen in that boob. Yeah, dude, I got you, man. To Right Love on Her Arms. Best pop filter to get. Dude, Destiny, well done. All right, pop filters are the bane of my existence. They are a pain in the ass. If you buy a cheap one, it'll do nothing but frustrate you. So this is an example of a standard one, but actually this is probably my shittiest one. This is a pop filter, okay? So as you can see here, you can see through it. It's about that thick. It looks like someone put like some ladies' hosiery through a plastic ring. The purpose of this is to eliminate plosives. Plosives are when I do just that pa, 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 ta, ta. Anything that causes extra wind. So B's, T's, P's, stuff like that can come through. And like we showed you on this mic before, you can see what's called this, the diaphragm of the mic, right? So you see a little glinty part, this little circle thing. That's a great, right there, you can see it. So this little gold 2.5 inch diameter right there is what is receiving the sound. So this capsule is doing a good job of trying to splay some of that wind that comes onto it. But if I go, puh, that's gonna hit that diaphragm just like someone punching you straight in your diaphragm, okay? It sucks, and you will hear and you'll see a big spike in the waveform, and you have to get rid of that. So what a pop filter is designed to do is to be about that far away from the mic. Too far doesn't do anything, too close, and it's defeating the purpose as well. So typically you want something to be right around there, and that is gonna help get rid of the puh, 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 because this acts as a first line of defense. So Stedman is the standard. Stedman pop filters are the standard that you want to get. This thing is probably going to be about $19, something like that, $25. You get what you pay for it. The main thing that this is important, of course, but this is the most important part of the whole thing. Because if this thing's flimsy, it's going to fall down. It's not going to stay where you want it to stay, and you're constantly going to be trying to place it perfectly. It's just a pain in the ass. So this is not even my good one. The one that I love, if it fits your microphone, is the one that Blue makes, because it's a knockoff of the Neumann, which is like a $600 pop filter that's made for the 87, and it's maybe like $40. It has been bellissima. It's one of my favorite pieces of gear. The other thing, mic placement. How far away should you be from your mic? Here's another thing. A shock mount is really important too. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I have a lot of mics and a lot of mic stands. So I'm a gearhead. This is my golf. So these would be like this is my 7-iron. This is my, my driver. This is my putter. So, heavy mic, heavy shock mount. Okay. So this, if you see, there's like all these little bands right here, right? What this does is it just keeps the mic in place. So that's good. But it also, if I were to shake the microphone stand, it's going to be isolating the mic so you're not getting a lot of those bumps and everything. Like if I stomp my foot or whatever, you're not going to hear it as much as if I would if I was directly attached with the mic stand here, okay? So shock mount can be a valuable thing. Again, it's going to be mic specific. This is kind of a generic shock mount. You don't have to get the one that's made for the mic. Just look to see if it says universal. It'll probably fit, and that's gonna be just fine. It's just using the Snowball Ice is great. It's that's a USB interface. We talked about that a little bit too. I heard it was the length of your thumb to your pinky finger. Beautiful idiot. I love your screen name. It sounded like I called you a bad name, but yeah, that's not bad. This is really good. A fist away. Someone can meme the shit out of that if you want to. I know what I'm doing. So this is good. This, depending upon your fingers, that's going to be too far away, right? Depending upon what you're doing, right? So if I'm this far away from the microphone, I'm probably going to sound a little off mic. If I'm about here, that's good. Depending upon your mic too, this is why having headphones is so important. I'm going to do it like this because this is how it typically is. I don't want it to be here. I want it to be a little bit here. I'm going to be doing some of the work for my pop filter because my voice is going this way, right? Now, if I'm looking down and reading a script, obviously we need to adjust that. Does that make sense? You also don't want to be flat onto it. You want this to be just slightly off. So if you actually see, this is actually at an angle. So this wouldn't be, again, flat. It's going to be angled in or angled off just a little bit. Listen with your headphones. And if I were sitting in my booth right now, I would change my microphone just ever so slightly, and you'll hear that sweet spot. That's really what you want to hear. You'll hear it as like, oh, that sounds like my voice. Or you're like, I'm hearing more of the room, or it sounds a little bassier than my voice is, or it sounds a little lighter. Mid-rangey is also a really good way of finding out if you're on mic or not. So, great question though. How far is the mic supposed to be when recording piano? Whole other thing. Depends on the mic that you're using. Again, go to Wayne Miller if you really want to learn great music recording. Wayne G. Miller or Selma Studios on Instagram. That's an incredible resource. How do you suggest getting started on getting voice acting jobs? Dude, it is the Wild West right now. There's never been a better time for creating your own content. You can make your own stuff on YouTube. You can make your own stuff on TikTok. There's no excuse for you not to be creating content. And those are the places that all the studios and everything that's where they're looking for. Right now, they're looking for content creators and influencers. So who knows? You could have something that blows up, and next thing you know, I'm asking you for jobs. So it's all about, right now, being where the work is not as important as it was a month ago. So there's never been a better time. Voiceover 123 is still, I think, a really good spot. MSG, if you want to pipe in as well, that there may be something that you can lend to that as well. What keyboard is in the back? That is a Williams Rhapsody 88 upright. So it looks like a piano, which I like, but it also has just the ability to be a MIDI controller. So I don't use the onboard sounds. I use sounds in my computer. He said, no, you're not Troy Baker. Well, I mean, they're stupid. They should get the U. How do you tune your microphone? See if you can't kind of clear up that definition of tune for me, and I'll see if I can answer it in the meantime. So if you talk about maintenance, that's a whole other thing. But if you're talking about tuning your microphone, it is about positioning with the preamp, right? So the mic goes into the preamp, and you get this little input and output, or I guess it's on this one right here. That's your input and output, your gain, which is how much power are you supplying to this microphone to give you more volume? Make sense? So your gain is supposed to match to where you're not too loud or too soft. It's just right, right? This is the Goldilocks zone that you're finding, and the position that that you are standing away from your microphone is hitting that sweet spot in that mic. And it's just about finding that perfect thing, and you'll hear it. You'll definitely hear it. Is that a Focusrite Scarlett? Yep. So this is the Scarlett 212, which means it has 2 in and 2 out. And this is just a good little workhorse. Again, it's like maybe like $150. It's not expensive. Focusrite pre's are great pre's. The main thing that you're giving up is just a lot of ability to go really, really loud or really, really quiet. Hayden, demo advice and tips. Nobody wants to hear your version of anybody else. They want to hear you. So just give them you. That's the main thing that I can tell you. Keep it short. Don't do some 2 to 3 minute video, demo reel. No one's listening. If you can keep it under 60 seconds, that's best. Don't do something that they've heard somebody do before. Just do you. They just want to hear what your voice sounds like. What else? What's the best way to start? Michael, everybody's path is different. And especially now, it's really different. The fact that I'm doing cartoons and video games, literally recording from home is different. So it's about you finding your path, right? There's not one path. It's about you finding your path. Google voiceover copy, and you can get great sample copies. That's absolutely true. Great, MSU. Thank you for that. That's exactly what people want to hear you do scripts. And if you need scripts, there's stuff that people have online that live there. What else? Boop, boop, boop. Tips for keeping sinuses and throat clear for voices or singing. Aaron, don't smoke. Hydrate. Make sure that the room you sleep in especially is 45 to 50% humidity is perfect. Anything less, it could be too dry. Anything more could produce mold. So there's several devices that you can get that can kind of read the air in the room and tell you exactly what you need. Typically in the winter months, you're going to need a humidifier, depending upon where you live. I don't know what part of the country or what part of the world you're in. It's so funny because typically avoid coffee before a session because it can give you smacks and create artifacts. Nothing better than water. But yeah, by and large, don't smoke is the main thing. That's a huge agitator for your sinuses. Claritin if you got allergies too, but also couple that with Claritin just helps allergy symptoms find out what you're allergic to. This right before the virus hit, man, we had more pollen in the air, like you could see it in the air in Los Angeles, and so everyone was walking around going, "I've got corona," and it's like, no, you've got sinus, you've got allergies. How would you edit a voice reel in terms of post processing? Okay. This is a bit more of an advanced class, but it's all about EQ and compression. That's it. When you look into Pro Tools, what you want to see a very dynamic file. You want to see spikes and nice little waveforms. You do not want to see a brick. If you see a brick, that's bad. Brick is bad. That's a little bit more of an advanced class, and what I may do is do one of these with Wayne Miller, and he'll be really good to we can talk about how to record. Rob King is a dear friend of mine that has the best home studio you've ever seen in your entire life, and he could help out too with that. But yeah, EQ and compression, and trust me, it's like mastering golf. You'll do it for the rest of your life. Is cold water bad for your voice? I don't know if it's bad for your voice, but what it definitely does is anything that is colder than your body temperature constricts. So warm opens, cold constricts. So you definitely want to have open vocal cords. What is EQ and how do you manage it? Man, that right there is the answer. If you guys want to get into plugins, we can get into plugins. There's a few that I would recommend right off the bat. Again, scale to your time investment. Don't go out and spend a lot of money if this is going to be something that's going to be a side gig, or if you want to invest in your future and you have the means to do it, great. I can definitely tell you how to spend your money, because that's one thing I've gotten really, really good at. But there's a few plugins that you can get, some of them, and look for sales too. Waves, Waves, has a plugin called Vocal Writer, and what it will literally do is just kind of chase right behind you. If you're too loud, it'll duck it down and just kind of keep everything in a nice little place. A lot of times that plugin is like $29, and it is a steal. It has been a lifesaver for me, because if I wasn't fast enough on that volume, or it's the attenuator, but on that preamp, like I showed you, if I missed it and I was too loud, Vocal Writer can actually go in and actually fix that for me. So Vocal Writer by Waves is great. A lot of times it's $200, and every once in a while they'll put it on sale for like $39 or whatever. It's a great steal. Izotope, Izotope, Izotope RX7. Again, this is about $150. It's a plugin that is set it and forget it. It will listen. You record a little bit of audio, like 10 seconds. It will listen to your audio and go, got it, I know what to get rid of. Again, it's not going to get rid of planes, sirens, gardeners, cats, dogs, stuff like that. Cat's pretty quiet. But what it will do is listen to the natural ambient noise of your room and be able to go, we can get rid of that just so that your voice stands out clearer. Those are set it and forget it plugins. I have them on every session. That is using a mixture of EQ and compression in one plugin. When recording a voice, how do you know what to do if they're going to amplify or change the pitch? We Are the Infected, you don't know, and you don't have to worry about that. Let them worry about post-processing. All you're worried about is getting a good, clear signal to them so that they can do whatever the F they want to with it. Let's see, what else? What is your process like when preparing for finding a character? It varies. Honestly, what's funny is a lot of that has absolutely nothing to do with any of the technical stuff. That's all about finding out, learning as much as I can about the character, working with the director, working with the script, and understanding that, having a lot of questions, and then being prepared for the moment, but not being rehearsed for that moment, going in fresh to whatever that scene is going to be. Any tips for on the road auditions? What I can plug into my phone? That right there is the holy grail. Being able to have a studio that is good enough for that. There's Shure makes an MV88, which is a lightning adapter condenser short shotgun mic that plugs straight into your phone. I've had good luck with that. There are a multitude of interfaces that will give you an XLR input for your phone or iPad. The problem is just being able to use that file well. And ultimately, honestly, let's talk about this. If you have to record something on the road, I've been in a hotel room and I've actually gone out to my car. If I have my car there, but instead of being in a hotel room, because a car, there's no real parallel surfaces, right? You've got doors, but even on those doors, you have door handles, you've got padding on those doors, you've got things that are breaking it up, and the ceiling is curved. So it actually sounds a lot better. That's why David Kaye, who does the VO for John Oliver, will do stuff in his car, because it'll actually sound better. It's meant to be closed. It's pretty sound dampening. It's not soundproof, but it's pretty sound dampening. So you're going in the car if you're on the road is the best place to do it. I've done, honestly, if it's for auditions, a lot of times my phone works just fine. They just need to hear what my take is on the character, or my general tonality when it comes to reading those lines. What else? iRig, yeah. iRig, I would honestly be cautious about those. I feel like that's potentially wasting money on a cheap solution. Yes, it's a lower end budget item that allows you to get stuff in. Depends on what you want to use it for. So just be cautious about spending that. Again, Sweetwater is really good, because Sweetwater, everything that is on Sweetwater's site, they have personally reviewed, and they have no, they'll tell you, like, we don't like this. to be really, really honest with you. Sweetwater also, I mean, I get nothing from Sweetwater too, by the way. I've just bought every piece of gear. I have my guy, Forrest Powell is the guy that I bought every piece of gear that I have through him. And it's because he's always been honest with me. And I have someone that I can talk to and I say, here's the application. They go, oh, okay, great. We just got this new piece of gear. That's what's perfect for this. So Sweetwater is a great, more than Guitar Center or anything else, it's a really good resource. Screams reactions are always, what was that? I missed that. Kill my voice tips. Moon Alchemist, they kill your voice. By and large, if it's a scream, you're going to scream, and there's no way around it. It's just going to hurt. There are things you can do to protect yourself, like vocal warm-ups, knowing what your limit is. But no one who has ever been in the situation that requires a scream goes, well, I want to make sure that I don't blow my voice out. They're screaming for a reason. So for it to be a believable scream, you got to just go for it. Nobody can go indefinitely. You can have a Steve Bloom or a Fred Tatasciore that their voices have adapted, and you can get better and better and better, but they still have times when they I can't scream anymore. So know your vocal limits, absolutely, and never be afraid to go, I can't go any more than this. Arkham Money, can you sing for us? That's going to happen tomorrow. I think we're going to do another little music Sunday tomorrow. Maybe the same time if this time works for everybody. How do I know if I should get into voice acting? Well, do you want to? Then there you go. Vocal warm-ups of choice. Oh, wait. What did you say there? The Steinberg UR22C with the recommended interface. A lot more features than the 212 for the same price point. Kick-ass. Thank you, man. Steinberg makes great stuff. Moderately okay, Panda. Steinberg UR22C. There you go, guys. Thank you for those recommendations. Those are great. Vocal warm-up tips. A lot of it is just talking. Talking gets your voice warmed up, trying to wake up in the morning. Don't cough, don't clear. Clear is bad. Coughing is better. That is air moving through, and any obstructions that you have, it will come out. That is just taking your vocal cords and doing this with it, and it's bad. So cough, don't clear. And then warm liquids always helps too. Well, hello, Alana Pierce. What else? 30 seconds of billing maniacal laughter. Well, that's how you get fired from a job if you can't do it. So there you go. What else? Buy a sweet shot. Thank you for coming by. Tips to expand vocal range. Dude, that is just... Look, you have your limitations, right? Like I have mine. I think that there are things you can always do it's a muscle and you can stretch it. But you need to just kind of take your time with that. And see, like, my voice has changed so much over the years just from beating it up and being able to get better at some things, and certain things I've lost. Like, I've lost upper range, and I've gained lower range. So it's like your voice is just going to change. What your go-to guitar depends on the song. Sometimes I'll use my Martin. Sometimes I've got a Guild acoustic that I've had that was given to me by a dear friend. I'll use that. I've kept my Fender Tele, which I'm a Tele guy, but I never play it. And I've got an Epiphone 335 that I have because I love the look of guitar. Should I use a different mic for violin and guitar? Depends on what mic you're talking about. And depends on what guitar and depends on what you're recording. But by and large, yeah, different. Again, Wayne Miller is going to get into that a lot better as far as what mics work best. Typically, a short capsule condenser mic, like a pencil mic, is going to be great for both of those applications. Practice strength build upon that. Great advice, MSG. Know your strengths, play to your strengths, know your limitations. Right. How do you create a demo reel with no professional experience? You're going to have to learn some things. You need to learn how to record yourself. But the main thing, they don't want to know that you have... Are you saying professional experience, meaning I've never read for a commercial or I've never read an animated series? So how can I create a reel? That doesn't matter. It's called make-believe. Make that shit up. MSG put up on through the chat. There's like great places where you can just Google scripts. I would avoid doing some like, here's my famous scene from Godfather, you know, and doing it as you, whatever. So just be very cautious about what you're pulling. But if it's like especially for commercial and stuff, I had so many things on my commercial reads that were just stolen, like that was Budweiser, brought to you by Budweiser, or whatever, you know. But a lot of times hearing stuff like that, people are like, oh, well, we're Miller Lite, so we don't want to hear you do Budweiser. Oh, Pagan, you have questions on peaking? Like Peking duck? Okay, so peaking is volume control. Your voice is going to be dynamic, right? So it is going soft, and it's getting very, very loud. We have things like our iPhone that has the ability to kind of have a built-in limiter, and it's actually, or even like Zoom and Skype does, like it automatically adjusts your audio settings. Yeah, Pro Tools and stuff like that doesn't have that. So if you look at the waveform, you're going to see it get really, really big, or even worse, it's going to get big, and at the top it's going to be flat, which means that you blew out the mic, you blew out the preamp, or you blew out the input on your computer. So learning how to ride the gain, as they say, and be able to keep that still sounding very dynamic, so that you want the quiet to be quiet, the loud to be loud. You don't want them to be the same level, right? That's not good. But that is a mixture of compression and limiting, which is a bit advanced, but there's some really, really easy plugins that you can get that will help you. There's great Universal Audio, UAD. They have great things that you can, great resources like 5 minutes how to use this piece of gear. It's incredible. So yeah, look at that. But if you're peaking, that is you not controlling the gain enough. And if you are going to be, if you can't touch it, you need to put it at a level to where you know that your quiets are not going to get lost and your loud is not going to get too loud. That's all I can tell you. Otherwise, you need someone there that's going to control the gain. What else? Who's got stuff? Who's getting into VO that really needs some help, like setting up some stuff here? Because we can do a live stream about everything else I've done later. I want to help people out. Bree, great credit. Great guitar is best for beginners and acoustic, by and large. Unfortunately, Normalizer doesn't work anymore on Mac. Yeah, normalizing, again, that's just going to go, louds go here, quiets go here, and it's going to sound, all the same. You don't necessarily want that. My shirt says "To Write Love on Our Arms," Jimmy Tukowski's organization that he started. Yeah, turn down the gain, Pagan. Thank you, Aaron, for that. Man. What would be a good low mid price mic for gaming VO? Depends. That's a very subjective term. Mid price, again, go to sweetwater.com. It's going to give you a very exhaustive description on the mic that you're looking at. The by and large, what most games use. So Neumann U87, a Neumann TLM 103, or DPA 2055s, which are, I do this because there's normally two mics when we're sitting on mocap, and a lot of times that's what we've used for everything else. So it really depends upon the game. But by and large, if it's just a strictly VO game, if there's no, like everything that we did for like Telltale or Bioshock or whatever, that is going to be like a Neumann U87. So yeah, you need to, if that's what you're going for, like if money was no object, that's what you would get. And it's not just the microphone, it's also the preamp that pairs with it, okay? So this is a friend's reference. It's this by itself, like this plugged into this is going to sound a lot different than this plugged into that Neve, okay? So it's about pairing that. It's a three-way thing. It's the mic with the pre with you, and it's about finding that magic little angle to where everything matches up. So there's not just this is the mic you want to get, this is the pre you want to get, because it may not sound good on your voice. I've heard this sound terrible on people. You're going to use a different mic for a female voice than you are for a male voice, just because of the natural propensities and tendencies for female voices versus male voices. A U87 is kind of a good workaround mic, but that's a very expensive mic. So go to sweetwater.com and or even call Sweetwater. They're open, they're still shipping gear. They shipped me some gear and go, this is the budget that I have, this is the application that I need. They'll be like, this is what you want to get. Or they'll tell you, save your money or save your money. Does script quality matter for your voice demo? I don't think so, because what they really want to hear, as long as the script that you're reading allows you to have the performance that you feel proud about putting out into the world as your reel, that's what really, really matters. Curling iron for the front of my... These are the hard-hitting questions. This is this is just quarantine crazy, it's me doing that. What else? When making music or recording voice stuff, should you force creativity if you're not feeling, or wait until you're in a better headspace? I want to get into that as a whole other separate topic. There's a difference between forcing and there's a difference between forcing and being patient. You have to carve space. You can't sit down and go, okay, where's my song? You just don't have it. Sitting in it in silence a lot of times, turning off whatever distractions you have, get away from your phone, get away from your computer, get away from your TV, get away from everything, and just sit in a space that allows you to listen to your own internal art and artist. That's not forcing it. That is listening to the creative. That is tuning in to some other shit. That's what I would recommend that you do. Neumann TLM 102. That's the smaller daddy one, right? There's a lot of people that use the TLM 102, if that's the one that I'm thinking of. TLM 102. Is that the super small one? Yeah, dude. That's like a $700. I mean, that's going to be great. I think that's going to be great. TLM 103 would be great. The Rode NT1A is also a good... I can't get a Neumann. Rode makes some really, really good mics. I know a lot of people that use that. Look that up real quick. A Rode NT1A. I had one of those. Why don't I have that anymore? Rode NT1. Boom. Yeah, there you go. That's going to be about a $260 mic, okay? I understand that's not chump change, but it's a lot better than $3,000, okay? And the Rode NT1A gets a lot of good reviews. It's an Australian company. They've really gotten big into the podcasting world, so their mics are used by and large for podcasting. So that's a good thing too. And I think that mic will actually come with the shock mount that we talked about earlier, which is this part right here. It looks like we got about 3 minutes left. So... Do you need to be an actor before delving into VO? Yes, acting is acting is acting is acting is acting. What else? Hello from France. Traveler's awesome. Was this helpful for you guys? Hopefully it was. If you have questions, I really want to take this time to hopefully not only encourage you guys, but to equip you guys. If there's ways that you're wanting to be creative, I know the frustration of not being able to channel and capture that creativity. And I've struggled with it. Hopefully what I can do is show you workarounds that I've had or ways that I've been able to help capture that creativity or encourage that creativity. Whether that be through gear or just, again, time or whatever. So I would love for this space to be used for that. If I can find ways to encourage you guys or give you any wisdom that I found along the way, that's what the whole purpose of this is. Tomorrow, if you guys are down for it, we'll do another live stream and we'll just do some music and just chill with each other. We'll find out, what I feel like playing. Do you want to keep it simple and acoustic, or do you maybe want to do a little more full blown and actually listen to live tracks like I would do at a show? I'd be curious for you. What'd you say, B-Dunks? What are you doing, Barbara? Whatever you guys want. That's what I'm here for. So this is me breaking out of my comfort zone and wanting to find good creative ways to connect with you guys. The whole point of it is to be encouraging. So hopefully you guys have been encouraged. Hopefully you find some patch of blue. Until tomorrow, same thing. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected. I really appreciate you guys joining today. We'll see you tomorrow.